More on the Treasury Secretary's comments this morning on the trade agreement. Eamon Javers is at the White House. Interesting, Eamon. Later this morning, he also framed the April 2 levels as a ceiling and the current levels as a floor.
Yeah, fascinating, Carl. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said on CNBC this morning that the deal reached in Geneva over the weekend is just a pause for 90 days, and negotiations are not going to be easy going forward. But he said that both sides are approaching the talks with respect and a recognition that they have mutual interests. He also said there's going to be another meeting in a few weeks to get rolling on what he called a more fulsome agreement.
Now that we have brought these very high tariffs down to 10%, I think the markets, business people live in the future. So I think we can go through at that 10% baseline, which is very easy to calibrate with.
Bessent said he was encouraged that the Chinese are now serious, in his words, about stopping the flow of precursor drugs to fentanyl, which is one of the president's key priorities in the bilateral relationship. And he said that the U.S. does not want a generalized decoupling, but instead wants a decoupling around strategic supply chains that are critical for the American economy. So a narrower goal there. The statement released by the two countries came just after 3 a.m. East Coast time, with both countries agreeing to temporarily suspend most of the tariffs between their economies. The so-called reciprocal tariffs will be cut from 125% down to 10%. In the U.S., 20% tariff relating to fentanyl will remain in place, leaving a total tariff rate of 30% on China. The pause is set to begin on Wednesday, setting up a 90-day negotiating period between the two countries. And, guys, that is going to be an intense period of negotiation. We'll see where they land.
The other comments, he talked about this at Milken as well, Eamon, but mentioned that the deregulatory phase of this sort of evolution of the economy will start to kick in Q3 and Q4.
Yeah, and you've heard Bessent sort of pitch ahead, really, past the tariffs into tax cuts, which he's very focused on, and into deregulation, right? And so what he's trying to argue here is that, we are having a sort of disruptive moment with tariffs, but there are other things for the economy that are coming from the Trump administration that are going to be beneficial. And so he's really keen to make sure that investors are focused on those things as well.
Eamon, you were reporting it towards the top of the last hour, of course, on the executive order in terms of pharma and trying to lower drug prices. We did go through this at the end of the Trump administration, I believe, and a lot of it went to court, and they got injunctions and the like. Can you explain what they actually can accomplish here in the near term in terms of immediate effect on drug prices, or is this something that's got to play out over a period of time and ultimately needs legislation?
Yeah, it's going to have to play out over a period of time, David. And officials briefing reporters on a conference call just a short time ago were a little bit vague on sort of what their authority is to do this. But it's clear that what's going to happen now is they're going to set up a negotiating period of time between HHS, Health and Human Services, and the pharmaceutical industry. And then at some point, if the administration doesn't like the prices that are coming out of that negotiation, then they're saying they're going to move forward with regulatory rulemakings on the pharmaceutical industry. So I guess the key here for the pharmaceuticals is to see what they can get out of that negotiation. Can they give something that is sort of minor enough that they feel like they can live with it and the administration can declare victory on lowering drug prices? That would probably be the sweet spot for industry. Industry's been pushing back on this idea for years, and now it looks like the president's intent on moving ahead to the extent that he can. Obviously, you could end up in court on all this and see where that lands.